Hey, so this video is about, it's going to be a time lapse of me trimming a beef tenderloin. I will also be drinking Kirkland's light beer. I got both Kirkland's light beer and the tenderloin from Costco. So, I guess I'd just like to say I'm an amateur. I don't do, I'm not a butcher. But that doesn't keep me from buying the untrimmed tenderloin and giving it a whack. So, without turning this into a ramble video, I'm going to go ahead and tack on the time lapse of me doing the trimming. So before I get started, I'm just pulling up the old phone. I did this with an app called Framelapse. It's in the Android uh, universe. It's the Google Play Store. Took one picture, two pictures a second. So here it is. Going to throw it on out there, let you guys see what I do, and we'll talk at you later on.
So basically what I'm doing right here is getting the tenderloin ready to trim off the chain. It's like a long strip of fat and meat, and enjoying a little beer while I do it. So yeah, you're really more pulling than you are cutting, and you're going to separate a kind of a large roast from the front along with some of the chain meat. And you really don't even hardly need a knife to do that. After that, you just start peeling away the fat by hand, and there's some kind of chunky, fatty stuff at the bottom that I get off. I'm kind of building a scrap pile that I'm gonna go through later and separate the good meat from the inedible stuff. So the next part is probably the most tedious part of the entire process, which is peeling away the silver skin, because that stuff is it's really tough. I mean, they could just about make guitar strings out of it. You've got to make sure you get all the silver skin off because it will not cook away. It's a tough membrane, and it's on all tenderloins, but the beef tenderloin in particular, it's really a bear to get off. So once you kind of get all the silver skin and all the little, I go ahead and trim all the little pieces of fat off also. Um, it kind of turns into a nice shapely tenderloin, and that part is done. So that didn't take a whole long while. It really takes more time to get set up than it does to actually separate the tenderloin from the rest of the meat. But what you got to do now is you kind of got to go through everything else, and you're going to get a little roast that you could slice into medallions. I usually just kind of chunk it out, and you can make anything with it at that point, chili or whatever. But you just kind of remove the fat and just kind of pick away at it until all you've got's beautiful, delicious red meat. So this is the chain I'm working with again, and this is it's really a mess. It's a lot of meat, but it's also a lot of sinew and fat that you have to separate. So you have to kind of be patient and work with each little bitty piece to get all the meat you can out of it. And once again, this is kind of like scrap meat. I mean, it would make the greatest pot of chili or spaghetti or anything like that you wanted to do. You could probably also make tacos or fajitas or something like that. That's kind of what I do. That's kind of my thoughts. So some of you guys that are real live butchers may have better techniques and ideas of what to do with all this meat, but I'm just kind of an amateur, and that's what I do. So feel free to experiment on your own. I mean, what I really need right now is a cutting board, but I didn't think to get one out. I'll get one of those out in a minute and process the rest of this meat out. Still working through the chain, and I've got a kind of a sizable scrap pile. So there's the roast I was telling you about. You kind of get that off the big end of the tenderloin, and I'm just going to cut that into some medallions. Those would be great pan fried, and then I'm just going to chunk out the rest. And so now that I've got kind of all that done, what I'm really going to do is go through the scrap pile, and I'm going to do a final trim through there and get as much useful meat as possible. Some of this meat's a little fattier than I like, but the main thing is that you've got it separated from the silver skin. And again, this is called, I believe this is called the chain, and it kind of looks like a chain. Once you start trimming your tenderloin, you'll understand what I'm saying. So I just break all this stuff down into bite-sized pieces, for stir fry or whatever. And that's about it. I mean, that's all the work there is to it. I'll show you all this Stack it all up. Don't be intimidated by the size of the scrap pile. It's sizable, but you know, hey, it's look at all the extra meat you get. You know, in addition to getting to trim your own tenderloin. Delicious.